Lina,
Hi.
you are nominated for the Feminist Porn Award.
Yes.
And we would love to get a little bit more information from you. Maybe you can tell us a little bit, when did you come into the porn film, and what was your first feminist experience there?
Yeah, I started in January 2015.
Mm-hmm.
The first film that I did uh, was very much a DIY feminist film for a person who, sadly enough, doesn't direct films anymore. And it was like a very, very sweet experience, I have to say. Of course, a lot has happened ever since, and my level of experience and the things, a lot has changed ever since. But I think that the ways in which I approach pornography, which was like with a lot of curiosity, with some time to think about it, and also with plenty of time to reflect about my experiences and so on, I'll have to say, like, those very beginnings were very positive for me.
Mm-hmm.
And my first year was was quite slow, I will have to say. I took it really easy. And then I got a little bit more intensively into it since 2016.
Mm-hmm. And now you're in the middle of the industry. Is it like that? And could you say a little bit how you slipped in?
Well, I think in many ways it was something very intuitive. I First of all, I think that what got me into it was the fact that here in Berlin, it was possible for me to see that there was that there were like more genres and niches in pornography that seemed like quite accessible, you know? So at some point I thought like, oh, maybe I think I could do this. Maybe I think I would like to do this. And then I just approached it with curiosity out of like a very like instinctive feeling about it. And I think that in many ways I wasn't that, I was right about my intuition. And I think I just like kept walking that path. And I think that in many ways I always had lots of enthusiasm, like lots of intentions of like continuing in porn and so on. And I think that thanks to that I was able to shoot with many people, for many companies, with many people that I admire, with many people with whom I still like have a beautiful and nice working relationship with. So I think that through all of that, I don't know, I was just able to develop myself. And I think that in many ways I always took pornography as something like very serious, that was really good for myself, that felt right. Of course, it's not always easy all the time. It's a very complex thing to do, but in many ways, I think I always approached it very thoughtfully, and I have always decided that with all the rights and all the wrongs and all the things I need to change, or the things that are not right, or the moments that are not that sweet, that it was still something worth doing for me.
So what would you think are the where you think that you really care for in all kind of film or porn? What would you say that?
In what sense, like?
Well, like you say you have a big curiosity, for example, and you go in every situation, and then you feel how it feels for you. So it must be something like safe space, that you feel good in working this. Is communication something what you really check? Is it safer sex? Is it like the feeling between the persons with the director? Is there something where you really check? So that's the most important thing for me.
I think there are two dimensions to it, because I have to say that I mean, pornography for me, it's a job. So sometimes there are things that I accept because I need to pay certain bills. So I have to say that throughout my entire career and so on, I have definitely done work that I have just checked that it's like professional enough, that the rates are good enough and so on. And then I just do it for the bills. And of course, there's also porn that I feel like more identified with the type of story, with the type of sex. And I also make sure that the people who are putting that together are people that I can like identify with in terms of work. So I think it's just like these very like two different avenues, you know. And I think if we go like to the most like exciting bits, for me it's a lot about the story that it's being told, you know, because in many ways the people who, in my opinion, tell the most compelling stories, it's also people who have like already a very much like developed sensibility and sensitivity about pornography, about what messages are, what things are important to say, what kind of sex are important to put on camera, you know. So in those ways, it's more possible, you know, to trust the vision, and to do something that can leave you feeling like satisfied, or that you did something that really means to you on a personal way.
Okay, then I would love to know, by doing the porn, you definitely developed your sexuality too. Is that something what also lead you to the sex education, that you say, oh yeah, I want to give this information to other people too?
Yeah, totally, 100%. Like it's something that you don't really expect, you know, how much can you learn about sex, about sexuality, about yourself, you know, through pornography. And it's really a beautiful surprise, you know, to see yourself like immersed into this, and like navigating many things that you never thought that you could navigate in certain ways, and find yourself like growing, you know, gathering lots of knowledge and seeing yourself in a different way. And I think it's also because like sex is very much like banned for so many spaces and spheres of daily life, you know, that I think that unless you do it in a very like conscious way, if you put yourself like very consciously in spaces where you can like really when you can talk freely about sex, when you can like freely experience your own sexuality, and when you can freely like get to know yourself, if you don't do that in a very conscious and intentional way, this is something that you miss out on, because in so many ways we treat sex and sexuality as taboo, and it's something not to be, that apparently seems to be everywhere, but it's not like properly addressed.
Yeah, that's true. So we saw the film from the female company where you showed how a moon cup is introduced and get out again also. So this is one part of sex education you did, and this sex education was banned, and you had to put it on a very commercial platform. What do you think about that?
I mean, the work for the female company was this tutorial. The female company, it's a startup like dedicated to menstrual health mostly, and so on. And they had this idea. Okay, do you want to be in this tutorial and so on? And I was like, yeah, that sounds really interesting. It was very nice because I also got with them to go through the script, you know, even though I was like technically I was just like hired as talent. I was able to also have a meeting with them, go through the script, make my suggestions as well, and also have them like taken into account by the creative agency and by the company itself. So in that sense, it was a very good experience, because I was also feeling like very safe. You know, because I don't know, when you work like in pornography and all these things, you are very much used to the kind of industry that you're in, and people like having the same knowledge and so on, and being able to communicate. And when you're working for other type of clients that are commercial, and so you never know exactly with whom are you going to be dealing with, you know, and what sort of like if there's gonna be like a lot of like education involved, you know, to the creative side of things. So I was like kind of like I don't know, you never know what to expect. but with this experience was very positive, you know, and I think there was also like this conversation, you know, about where to put the film and so on, about putting it on tube sites and stuff, and about all these things, which I think in many ways was a good idea, you know, because this was of all the misuses of tube size, this was actually a very good use, like putting like taking that space to put out there a film that it's educational, that can be like reached by everyone, and so So that was very nice, and I think it was also made available for free, like in different websites and stuff. And many people were really happy with it. They like the approach. They were like, "Oh, thank you so much. It's really nice to see that's how
it
to
works.
have a tutorial
Everyone
to know
asks
how it,
herself
yes.
how does it work?
Yeah, and many people, well, I didn't know because when it leaks and stuff. So many people were very happy to see that, and I think it was a very good exercise.
Yeah, but it's such a pity that it's then censored, and then you have to go really on a mainstream porn site to see it again.
To see it again, yeah, that it's kind of funny. And for me, on my networks, on Instagram and stuff, like I made the initial post, it was deleted like in minutes.
Yeah.
So that was really sad. And it was like, oh my God, this is like
sad.
so paradoxical. I cannot even like talk about this. Commercial work with this,
sexual information.
Yes, and also that it didn't have like any nudity or anything.
But what about your sex school? Because you're doing a great job in really doing sex education, and that's the name of the film, of the tutorials also is sex school.
Yes.
But where can I see that? Is that censored also because it's explicit?
I mean, sex school has been censored on social media many times. Right now, we have like the third Instagram account because the previous two were like completely gone. And sex school can be found at www.sexschoolhub.com. And there it's where we have like all the films. We have a few tutorials for free, and the other is it's behind a paywall to be able to make more films and more work. And in sex school, it's a platform that was created by Anarela Martinez. She's a cultural manager. And yeah, she brought in together like porn director Poppy Sanchez and people like Sadie Loon and Bishop Black, Parker Marks, and we created like a very nice team of like porn performers, sex workers, porn directors, and also certified sex educators and stuff. And we all like got together, put our knowledge and experiences together to make films that are explicit, that are fun to watch, that are approachable, and to offer like another way of presenting sex education, that it's not always like the rigid like stuff that sometimes people think, or like the useless things that it's about like unwanted pregnancies and scary STDs and all those things that never work for anyone.
Yeah. So what I also like is that you say, okay, they're professionals, they are from the porn industry, they're workers, they are sex workers, and they're doing this sex education stuff. So this is a very long feminist line that sex workers do sex education. So you're really following the line, and also you're working for demystifying the sex work and sex workers.
Yes. Yeah, it does a lot also, to demystify this, and also it does a lot to highlight, the contributions that sex workers can have on sex education, because of course it's not gonna be the same kind of knowledge that perhaps someone with who knows more about like I don't know, more like medical things and stuff. I mean, that also requires like a great degree of detail, but there's also like these other parameters in which perhaps you need to talk about consent, in which you need to talk about like dealing with emotions, in which you need to talk about like certain dynamics, in which you need to be like more uninhibited, or in which you might be a little bit too, I don't know, shy or insecure and stuff. And I think that in many ways, many sex workers who decide to do so, they can also contribute a lot on these sites, and to be able to talk about sex in a more freely way, and there's
and also to solidarize a bit, because before sometimes it was like, here are the porn people, and there are the sex workers. And now it comes together, and that's very good that there is more efforts for that.
Yes, 100%. That it's like there is more efforts, that it's then all a little bit more of like recognizing, you know, like the
Yes.
spaces of each other, to understand like the struggles, you know, and to be able to support each other in a better way.
Yeah, so thank you very much.
Thank
We
you.
look forward on seeing you and all the audience
Yes.
at the October 16th.
I'll be super looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Thank you.